Introduction and early life. Fred Gwynne is best remembered for his role as Herman Munster in the 1960s TV series The Munsters. However, there was much more to Gwynne than his acting progress. He also found success as a talented illustrator of children's picture books. Frederick Hubbard Gwynne, born on July 10, 1926, in the bustling city of New York, experienced a rather nomadic childhood due to his father's frequent business travels. His father, a prosperous stockbroker and partner in the esteemed securities company Gwynne Brothers, led the family to reside in various places such as South Carolina, Florida, and even Colorado. Military service and education. The Groton School, situated in Groton, Massachusetts, is among the most prestigious boarding schools in the United States. By the time Fred Gwynne attended, it had already established a reputation for rigorous academics, an emphasis on character building, and a strong sense of service to others. Many future politicians, philanthropists, and leading figures in the arts have passed through its halls. The education there is designed to challenge students intellectually while also encouraging them to explore extracurricular activities, music, drama, art, and sports. For someone like Fred, who had a natural inclination toward creativity, Groton would have offered abundant opportunities to shape those interests into lasting passions. It's likely that at Groton, Fred's experiences in drama clubs or in school performances began to crystallize his love for acting. Boarding school life also fosters independence and camaraderie among students. Living and studying alongside peers 24/7 builds social skills and resilience, qualities that would serve him well not just in the Navy but also in the competitive world of show business. Groton's emphasis on public speaking and cultural literacy might have further honed Fred's ability to convey ideas convincingly, a trait that is essential for any performer or artist. When World War II overtook the globe, the sense of duty for young Americans was overwhelming. Fred Gwynne was part of a generation where serving the country was not merely a matter of choice but a moral obligation. The war effort called upon the nation's youth to stand up against the Axis powers, and Fred responded by joining the Navy. During World War II, Navy personnel underwent rigorous training, and sailors had to adapt to life at sea, dealing with cramped quarters and often monotonous routines punctuated by moments of extreme peril. Whether he was stationed stateside or served abroad, Fred's willingness to enlist speaks volumes about his character. Many veterans later credited their wartime experiences with giving them a renewed sense of purpose and a deeper appreciation for life's everyday freedoms. This perspective can subtly inform an actor's approach to roles, adding layers of authenticity to performances that demand emotional depth or comedic flair. After the war ended, Fred Gwynne capitalized on the opportunities of the GI Bill, heading to Harvard University, one of the world's foremost academic institutions. Harvard, situated just outside Boston in Cambridge, Massachusetts, is famed for its rigorous curriculum, storied history, and the broad exposure it offers to arts and culture. Harvard's theater tradition includes the Hasty Pudding Club and the Harvard Radcliffe Dramatic Club, among others, where students put on plays and musicals. Participation in any of these clubs would have given Fred practical on-stage experience and put him in touch with like-minded creative individuals who shared his passion for performance. Even if he wasn't deeply involved in these groups at the time, simply being in a campus environment so rich in arts and scholarship would have been a powerful influence. The academic rigor of Harvard would have also appealed to Fred's intellect, sharpening the analytical and critical thinking skills that are so crucial to interpreting scripts, understanding characters, and later on, writing and illustrating stories for children. University life typically encourages students to explore varied interests: psychology, literature, art history, cultural studies, and for Fred, those explorations could have deepened his understanding of human nature, a key element in effectively portraying complex roles on stage and screen. Fred's experiences at Groton and Harvard, when combined with his military service, formed the backbone of his identity. By the time he finished his education, he was no ordinary man stepping into New York City. He was a disciplined Navy veteran with a prestigious background, a broad worldview from moving around the country, and a zeal for art and performance. This potent mix would soon propel him into his early career pursuits, where, despite initial challenges, he would leave an indelible mark on stage, film, and television. Early career and Broadway debut. When Fred Gwynne arrived in New York City around 1951, he stepped into one of the most eclectic and opportunity-rich environments in the world. This was a time when the city was bursting with artistic energy. Broadway was still reeling from the golden age of musical theater, a period that produced monumental shows from composers like Rodgers and Hammerstein. Meanwhile, off-Broadway and small theaters provided platforms for experimental works. The city's nightlife was brimming with jazz clubs, comedy spots, and artistic circles that overlapped in lively cultural hubs like Greenwich Village. For a young hopeful actor, New York was both a playground and a battlefield, teeming with possibilities but also fiercely competitive. The range of odd jobs Fred took, commercial artist, copywriter, and likely other forms of gig work, reflects the practical hustle many artists face upon arriving in the city. Having a versatile skill set could mean the difference between making rent and having to give up on one's dreams. Fred's artistic talents, which later shown in children's book illustrations, would have been invaluable for roles like commercial art and ad copy creation. Furthermore, his copywriting likely honed his ability to play with words and adapt to different tones, skill sets that would prove beneficial in both comedic and dramatic acting roles. The turning point came when Fred joined the cast of Mrs. McThing, a play produced by the legendary actress Helen Hayes. Hayes, known as the First Lady of the American theater, had an eye for talent, and Fred's involvement in a production she was connected with immediately gave him credibility in the theater world. Running for over 300 performances on Broadway is no small feat. This level of success catapulted Fred Gwynne from an aspiring actor to a recognized face on the stage, at least among theatergoers and those in the industry. The environment backstage at a long-running Broadway show can be incredibly formative for a performer. Actors form tight-knit bonds, trading techniques, stories, and professional advice. Being part of a successful production for so many performances not only refines an actor's craft but also introduces them to the discipline required to perform consistently, night after night. This resilience would later be a hallmark of Fred Gwynne's career, as he weathered the ups and downs of show business with grit and good humor. Show business is notoriously fickle. A single flop can derail careers, while a sudden smash hit can send an unknown actor into the limelight. For Fred, this early disappointment might have felt jarring, but it also mirrors the experiences of countless stage actors. That he viewed it as a mere blip on the radar of success implies his understanding that a performer's journey is rarely linear. Every actor accumulates a mix of long-running hits and short-lived misfires. Even in unsuccessful productions, there are lessons to be learned, often more so than in triumphant runs. Actors discover how to manage audience reactions that fall short of expectations, how to adjust performances when the script or direction isn't resonating, and how to maintain professionalism in the face of negative reviews. All of these experiences hardened Fred's resolve to keep pushing toward stardom. First steps in film and industry recognition. Fred Gwynne's first appearance on the big screen could hardly have been in a more iconic film. On the Waterfront, directed by Elia Kazan and starring Marlon Brando, became an instant classic upon its release in 1954. The movie's powerful story about corruption on the New Jersey docks, combined with Brando's raw performance, solidified its place in cinematic history. For Gwynne to land a role, no matter how small, in this Oscar-winning production was a testament to his potential and the credibility he'd garnered through his stage work. Actors rarely progress solely on talent. In Hollywood, as well as on Broadway, relationships and networking often make the crucial difference. For Gwynne, meeting and impressing influential figures like comedian Phil Silvers proved invaluable. Phil Silvers, best known for his role as Sergeant Bilko on The Phil Silvers Show, had deep roots in comedy and television. His appreciation for Fred's performance in Mrs. McThing suggests that Gwynne possessed a comedic spark that could be translated beyond the stage. Silvers's role as a connector in Gwynne's career path cannot be overstated. Renowned for his comedic timing and a keen eye for talent, Silvers championed Gwynne by recommending him for roles and using his own clout to open doors. This is especially important in entertainment, where a single advocate can accelerate an actor's trajectory from bit parts to more notable roles. Indeed, Silvers's support would soon lead Gwynne into television, a medium that was on the verge of a golden age and was hungry for distinctive new faces. Fred Gwynne's flexibility in moving between stage and screen highlights his adaptability. Actors often note how stage acting differs from film acting. In theater, gestures must be larger and voices more projected to reach the back of the auditorium, whereas film acting can be more subtle and intimate. Gwynne's ability to do both suggests a keen understanding of each medium's demands. Moreover, the film industry of the 1950s was growing rapidly, partly due to competition from television. Studios were experimenting with new themes, edgier content, and method acting styles, particularly influenced by the success of On the Waterfront. For Gwynne, the film role was more than just a line on his resume. It was proof that he could bring his stage-honed craft into the realm of film acting. Even small on-camera appearances require a learning curve, the technical aspects of hitting marks, working with directors on framing, dealing with multiple takes, and so forth. Gaining that experience early gave him a leg up when he eventually dove further into screen work. This period of Gwynne's life, from his successful Broadway debut to dipping his toes into cinema, provided a sense of momentum. His unwavering belief in his calling as an actor carried him through professional highs and lows. The endorsement from people like Phil Silvers added an extra layer of validation, reminding him that seasoned veterans in show business saw in him the potential for genuine stardom. That sense of confidence is often what fuels actors to persevere in an industry where constant rejection is the norm. As Gwynne prepared for the next phase, television, he was armed with valuable credentials, a Broadway success, experience working alongside some of the biggest names in film, and the goodwill of comedic luminaries. The stage was set, both metaphorically and literally, for him to become a household name. All that remained was the right project and the right timing to catapult him into the living rooms of viewers nationwide. Television breakthrough. By the mid-1950s, television was in the midst of a cultural explosion. Shows like I Love Lucy, Dragnet, and The Ed Sullivan Show dominated airwaves, transforming how families spent their evenings. What had once been a novelty, owning a small black and white television set, was becoming increasingly common in American households. Networks constantly sought fresh faces and engaging talent to keep viewers tuned in. For actors, appearing on television offered the potential for massive exposure almost overnight. Fred Gwynne's timing could not have been better. His invitation to appear on The Phil Silvers Show, also known as You'll Never Get Rich, was a direct result of his connection to Phil Silvers himself. This military-themed sitcom set in Fort Baxter, Kansas, revolutionized TV comedy with its fast-paced humor, witty writing, and Silvers' own comedic genius. Being part of it, even for a guest spot, meant stepping into a well-oiled comedic machine that consistently topped ratings. In 1955, Gwynne's guest appearance in the episode known as The Eating Contest showcased his comedic range. One of the secrets to success in early television sitcoms was the ability of guest stars to integrate seamlessly with the main cast while bringing a unique twist. Gwynne's presence apparently did just that, captivating both Phil Silvers and the viewing audience. For many actors, a single standout TV appearance can spark a wave of new opportunities. Audiences, casting directors, and producers pay attention to who resonates on screen, and Gwynne's comedic timing likely garnered him immediate fans. His unique physical stature, he stood at around 6 feet 5 inches, coupled with a genial demeanor, made him instantly memorable. Television thrives on personalities that viewers find both comforting and fun to watch, and Fred Gwynne fit that profile perfectly. The role of Phil Silvers as both Gwynne's supporter and collaborator was more than just a footnote in Gwynne's rise. Silvers, already an established name, understood the significance of championing fresh talent. By casting Gwynne and publicly praising his comedic chops, Silvers effectively gave him a stamp of industry approval. In the entertainment business, that kind of endorsement carries weight. It indicated to other producers that Gwynne was not only talented but also easy to work with and capable of meeting the rigorous demands of a weekly television show. Having proven himself on a popular TV show, Fred Gwynne stood on the cusp of many new opportunities. Television in the 1950s and early 1960s was hungry for content, from variety shows and sitcoms to detective dramas and anthology series. With a successful cameo in a major sitcom under his belt, Gwynne had effectively rung the doorbell of nationwide fame. He was no longer just an actor with a couple of Broadway roles and a small part in a famous film. He was a comedic presence that viewers recognized and enjoyed. Car 54, Where Are You? And returned to Broadway. In the enchanting realm of Broadway, where dreams were born and talents flourished, a fateful encounter awaited Gwynne. Nat Hiken, the esteemed producer behind The Phil Silvers Show, recognized Gwynne's captivating presence and extended an enticing offer, a co-starring role in his latest television comedy venture, Car 54, Where Are You? This delightful show graced the screen for 2 remarkable seasons, showcasing Gwynne's comedic prowess to a captivated audience. As the curtains fell on Car 54, Where Are You? In 1963, Fred Gwynne felt a magnetic pull back to the illustrious Broadway stage. There, he found himself entwined in the magical world of the musical Here's Love, bringing his talent and charisma to life once more before an adoring crowd. The Munsters, however, the beckoning call of the television landscape, could not be ignored. In 1964, renowned creators Joe Connolly and Bob Mosher, known for Leave It to Beaver, embarked on an audacious endeavor, crafting a comedic parody centered around the iconic Universal Studios movie Munsters. Thus, the Munsters came to life, and the talented Fred Gwynne found himself donning the role of Herman Munster, the lovable patriarch of this extraordinary monster family. The brilliance of the Munsters lay in its ability to derive comedic gold from the seemingly oblivious nature of the Munster clan. While the world saw them as peculiar, the Munsters themselves remained blissfully unaware, leading to countless hilarious situations. Transforming Gwynne into this gentle, endearing version of Frankenstein's monster required over 2 arduous hours of skilled makeup application, bringing his character to life with a touch of whimsical charm. Although the show's ratings during its 2-year run were not stellar, fate had something else in store. The Munsters found its true calling in syndication, captivating new generations of viewers with its timeless charm. The resounding success led to multiple made-for-television movie spin-offs, each expanding the Munster universe. Among these ventures, Fred Gwynne made a memorable appearance in the 1981 production aptly titled The Munsters' Revenge. In 1988, a new series entitled The Munsters Today emerged, breathing new life into the beloved characters. However, in this iteration, Fred Gwynne did not grace the screen, leaving his iconic role to be reimagined by another talented performer. P.O.S.T. Munster's career in typecasting. Once the curtain fell on the Munsters in 1966, Fred Gwynne found himself engaged in a battle against typecasting as he sought new and diverse acting opportunities. The shackles of being forever associated with the iconic character of Herman Munster imposed certain limitations on his career. However, as he traversed the later stages of life, Gwynne candidly confessed, "I might as well reveal the truth. I hold a deep affection for old Herman Munster. No matter how hard I try, I simply cannot resist my fondness for that lovable fellow." Later stage work and radio appearances taking on Big Daddy Pollitt in Tennessee Williams's Cat on a Hot Tin Roof was a bold move for Fred Gwynne. Big Daddy is a commanding role, patriarchal, intense, and layered with emotional complexity. Stepping into this part on Broadway demonstrated Gwynne's desire to be seen as a serious stage actor, able to convey depth and gravitas far removed from Herman Munster's lovable blundering. Tennessee Williams's plays demand subtlety and emotional range, and Gwynne's performance signaled to critics and audiences that he was more than a comedic actor in monster makeup. The revival of this American classic gave Gwynne the chance to share the stage with other seasoned performers. Broadway productions of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof often feature star-studded casts, ensuring that Gwynne's portrayal would stand shoulder to shoulder with top-tier acting talent. Audiences, some of whom might have come out of curiosity to see the man behind Herman Munster, were presumably surprised and impressed by his ability to inhabit such a fiercely dramatic role. In 1976, Gwynne continued his theatrical journey with a Texas trilogy, a series of 3 plays, The Last Meeting of the Knights of the White Magnolia, Lou and Hampton Laverty Oberlander, and The Oldest Living Graduate, all by Preston Jones. These plays explored life and culture in a small Texas town, delivering a tapestry of humor, tragedy, and regional distinctiveness. Gwynne's involvement demonstrated his eagerness to keep tackling new, challenging material. Shifting from Tennessee Williams's Southern Gothic tension to Preston Jones's Texan comedic drama further highlighted his diverse range. Though none of these plays soared to the legendary status of something like Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, they contributed to Gwynne's reputation as a stage actor unafraid of experimentation. Such roles also established that his presence on Broadway wasn't just a one-off or novelty act. It was part of a sustained career in legitimate theater. Fred Gwynne's work on the CBS Radio Mystery Theater from 1974 to 1982 represented yet another remarkable chapter in his career. Radio dramas rely heavily on vocal performance, demanding that actors convey setting, emotion, and character nuances solely through voice. Gwynne's deep, resonant baritone was perfectly suited to this medium, and his experience with comedic timing and dramatic tension translated seamlessly to audio storytelling. Appearing in 79 episodes, Gwynne became a staple of the series, which offered listeners weekly tales of suspense, horror, and the supernatural. His range shone through as he voiced multiple characters, sometimes heroic, sometimes villainous, sometimes comedic, sometimes tragic. This body of work further cemented his standing as an actor's actor, someone capable of consistently delivering strong performances across a wide array of genres and mediums. It's also worth noting that in the mid-1970s, the golden age of radio dramas was largely considered long gone, having peaked decades earlier. Nonetheless, programs like CBS Radio Mystery Theater found a niche audience seeking storytelling that evoked classic radio traditions. Gwynne's involvement brought star power, possibly drawing in fans who knew him from TV and stage, thus contributing to the show's success and longevity. Notable film roles: in 1987, he made a memorable appearance in the esteemed Academy Award Best Picture nominee Fatal Attraction. The depth of his talent resonated, leaving an indelible mark on the hearts of viewers. A year later, Gwynne breathed life into the character of Judd Crandall in the 1989 adaptation of Pet Sematary, a gripping tale crafted by the renowned author Stephen King. As his remarkable journey drew to a close, Gwynne graced the silver screen one final time in 1992's My Cousin Vinny. In this memorable film, he assumed the role of Judge Chamberlain Haller. Children's book author and illustrator Fred Gwynne's love for drawing and illustration dated back to his early days. Even while pursuing an acting career, he often sketched and doodled, honing a unique style characterized by whimsy and pun-based humor. This artistic outlet also provided relief from the demanding schedules of stage and screen, allowing him to recharge his creative energies in a more private, introspective manner. His children's books, such as A Chocolate Mousse for Dinner, The King Who Reigned, and A Little Pigeon Toad, showcase his clever wordplay and literal visualizations of common idiomatic expressions. For instance, The King Who Reigned reimagines the phrase "reigning is raining," with a whimsical monarch floating amidst raindrops. This linguistic playfulness not only entertains children but also teaches them to notice the quirks of language. Gwynne's drawings, simultaneously simple and imaginative, capture the comedic essence of these pun-based narratives. Juggling two careers, one in acting, the other in publishing, was no small feat. While working on stage or film sets, Gwynne might have had to find pockets of downtime to finalize illustrations or brainstorm new story ideas. The children's book market can be competitive. Authors must work closely with editors and publishers to develop concepts and refine artwork. Gwynne's existing celebrity likely opened some doors, but writing and illustrating children's books still demanded consistent creativity and discipline. Moreover, the audiences for his children's literature and his television roles overlapped more than one might initially assume. Many parents who grew up watching the Munsters or Car 54, Where Are You? May have seen Fred Gwynne's name on a bookshelf and decided to share his playful puns with their children. This intergenerational appeal reflects Gwynne's multifaceted legacy. He was as happy to entertain kids with imaginative drawings as he was to make families laugh on TV. By 1989, when Gwynne publicly exhibited his paintings, he had already built a name for himself in the art and literary world. Painting and portraiture require a different set of skills than children's book illustration, demanding a focus on fine art techniques, composition, and even capturing a subject's essence through color and form. Gwynne's willingness to branch out yet again underscores his unending curiosity and willingness to explore new forms of creative expression. This foray into portrait painting allowed Gwynne to reveal a more serious, contemplative side of his artistic identity. Portraits require the artist to delve into the psychology of the subject, whether it's a self-portrait or a commissioned piece. For an actor whose career had often been focused on comedic or character roles, painting portraits might have been an avenue to express deeper emotions and observations about the human condition. Acting and illustrating share a key trait. Both require the ability to visualize and inhabit the perspectives of various characters or ideas. In acting, one steps into someone else's shoes, adopting their motivations, quirks, and emotional ranges. In illustration, one conjures visuals from one's imagination, populating the page with characters and scenes that convey the narrative. Gwynne's success in both realms speaks to his capacity for empathy, observation, and meticulous attention to detail. It also highlights a common thread in Fred Gwynne's life: the desire to entertain, educate, and engage. Whether he was making audiences laugh with Herman Munster's broad grin or delighting children with a pun that leaps off the page in cartoonish glory, Gwynne sought connection. His foray into painting added another layer to his artistic tapestry, bridging the gap between comedic performance, playful illustration, and the reflective study of portraiture. Final years and legacy: Fred Gwynne's passing at his home in Taneytown, Maryland, marks a reflective conclusion to a life spent largely in the public eye. Maryland, with its rolling hills and quieter pace compared to Hollywood or Broadway, offered Gwynne a tranquil retreat in his final years. Free from the hustle of big city life, he could focus on his art, writing, and perhaps spend time with family and close friends. While fans worldwide mourned his loss, the atmosphere of his final days suggests a man at peace, surrounded by the personal comforts of home. Fred Gwynne's legacy extends beyond any single role or artistic endeavor. Many fans primarily remember him as Herman Munster, the towering goofball who taught American audiences that even monsters can have hearts of gold. Others recall him as the straight-laced Officer Muldoon in Car 54, Where Are You?, or the stern Judge Chamberlain Holler in My Cousin Vinny. Theatergoers might cherish memories of him as Big Daddy Pollitt, dominating the stage in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Meanwhile, countless readers and their children have enjoyed the playful puns in A Chocolate Mousse for Dinner. Such a wide-ranging body of work underscores a rare versatility. Gwynne navigated comedy, drama, stage, radio, film, and illustration without losing the essence of what made him special. His deep, resonant voice, warm presence, and inherent likability emanated through every medium he touched, securing him a permanent place in the pantheon of American entertainment. In the decades since his passing, Fred Gwynne continues to inspire actors, illustrators, and fans. Modern comedians and character actors sometimes cite Gwynne's dedication to physicality and sincerity as a guiding force. Illustrators, particularly those working in children's literature, recognize the charm of his pun-based books as a blueprint for how language can be both fun and educational. Moreover, the ongoing reruns and streaming availability of the Munsters and Car 54, Where Are You? Ensure that new audiences discover Fred Gwynne's work every year. Nostalgia channels and retro-themed streaming services have introduced a new generation to the timeless appeal of black and white sitcoms. As they watch Herman Munster's comedic misadventures or listen to Judd Crandall's chilling advice in Pet Sematary, viewers gain an appreciation for the warmth and talent that Fred Gwynne so effortlessly projected. The ultimate takeaway from Fred Gwynne's life story is one of determination, creativity, and an unyielding love for the craft. Born into a family that moved frequently, he learned adaptability at a young age. His service in World War II instilled in him a sense of duty and discipline, traits that fueled his academic pursuits at Harvard and his forays into acting in New York. From there, he soared to stardom on Broadway, dabbling in everything from comedic musicals to serious dramas. Television brought him worldwide fame, but it also risked confining him to a single persona. Instead of letting that happen, Gwynne branched out into radio drama, film, and children's literature, ultimately achieving a triumphant, multi-dimensional career. And even when typecasting threatened to limit his roles, Gwynne found ways to reinvent himself, embracing new mediums, returning to theater, and welcoming opportunities to share his artistic side through illustration and portrait painting. Until his final days, he remained a beacon of kindness and dedication, someone who embodied the best aspects of show business while also nurturing passions beyond the limelight. Thus, as we reflect on his life and achievements, we remember Fred Gwynne not just as an actor behind iconic characters, but as a true Renaissance man of entertainment and art. Whether scaring us with a haunted lullaby on CBS Radio Mystery Theater, making us laugh as Herman Munster, or captivating children with drawings of chocolate mousse, he left an imprint that endures well beyond his 66 years on Earth. And that's the content of today's video. If you enjoy the video, give us a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to receive more of our new videos. Thanks for watching.